So 2001 was a pretty crazy year for both Sega and Nintendo fans. Shortly after the release of Sonic Adventure 2, Sega announced that they're going to be a third-party developer and were dropping out into console race due to the Sega Dreamcast not doing well in sales. So that being said, Sega properties including Sonic would not only be on PlayStation and Xbox consoles, but also Nintendo consoles. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 would be ported to the GameCube back in 2002 and 2003, but also an all-new 2D Sonic game would be made for Nintendo's new handheld, the Gameboy Advance. On December 20th, 2001, Sonic Advance was released. Anyway, these three games are remembered as being some of the best games that Sonic has ever released on the portable, which makes sense since this was developed by DIMS and leaves it known to make a great Sonic handheld game. Also, 3DS doesn't count, don't you fucking dare bring it up.
Act 3 is so much worse, by the way. So,
No! Please! No! No!
I really hope someone is recording this. Best cry ever, too.
No! I'm done!
You want to play some multiplayer to calm down? I guess not. Go. Oh, I just saw it.
No!
So I've been meaning to get to these three games for about a while now, and I originally wanted to do them separately, but then I thought nobody would like the 2-minute videos, and I don't really think I'm popular enough to do something like that, unless for a compilation video of course. But now that I've streamed all three games on my Twitch channel, links in the description, I think that I can form a solid opinion on these. So let's start off with Sonic Advance 1. So these games are pretty much inspired from the classic games for the Genesis. And when I saw these games for the first time, I thought that they looked really pretty, and I still think the graphics hold up pretty well for a Game Boy Advance game. I always loved how the level design was reminiscent of the games that from the early 90s, while also having the same aesthetic from the modern games. Plus this opening cinematic is so clean too. I really love this art style and hope one day that they can return to this kind of gameplay. Anyway, the plot of this game is pretty simple. Eggman has a Chaos Emerald and Sonic and his friends need to stop him. Well, that didn't take too long now, did it? So up until Mania, this is what a lot of people would consider the true sequel to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Anyway, this game has multiple playable characters like the adventure games, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy making her first playable debut in a 2D game. I'd recommend you play as Tails. He's leveled as the easy mode because of the fact that he can fly for a couple of seconds. He even has his tailspin from Adventure 1. Actually, is it me, or did anyone else feel that Tails flies for a little bit longer here than in the Genesis games? Anyway, it will give you an easier time getting all the Chaos Emeralds, but don't worry, I'll get back to that soon. Then there's Knuckles. He can glide and climb to find stuff like rings and extra lives. He also has a punch-punch uppercut combo. His Knuckles paths aren't as dangerous as they were in Sonic 3. In fact, he'll go through the same path with every character, so we have a good time with him too. Now Amy, she's honestly the weakest out of the four. She can't roll into a ball, and not even when jumping, so there might be a chance of you hitting an enemy by mistake. Her only choice of attacking methods is her Pico Pico hammer, but unlike Adventure 1, you can't slam it to give yourself speed, it just slows you down. But it's not that hard to pick up speed anyway, because you'll go pretty fast in this game, and Dims must really love that because there's a lot of speed in the next game, but I'll get to that one when we get to it. Anyway, it just hurts that she can't roll into a ball or attack like everyone else. She also do this random ass skipping thing, but overall, Amy is my least favorite character to play as. And as for Sonic, I mean he's Sonic. He can run fast, roll into a ball, spin dash, and do a somersault move, which I guess can be seen as a callback to the somersault from Sonic Adventure 2. So he even got his Insta Shield from Sonic 3, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, the level design is pretty similar in concept to the classic games, with branching pathways, level gimmicks, and shields like the green one and the electric shield comes back from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but doesn't really give you a double jump, so it's more like the shield from the Adventure 1. But it has a different take on some things too, like these rhino rolls for characters to take use of, and these flagpoles, which they don't really do that much, but they do make it go faster when you get near one. Alright, let's get to the negatives. I think Sonic Advance holds up pretty well, but sometimes the level design is pretty annoying, specifically during the latter half of the game. It's just really frustrating. There's a lot of beginners traps in levels like Angel Island Zone, especially Egg Rocket Zone. There's so many spikes, enemies will just fly inside you, and you'll just fall off the face of the planet a lot, and you'll be able to see most of this stuff when you're playing it for the first time. And it doesn't seem like Dims would get better at this as the game goes on. I mean, look at my Sonic Rush playthrough. While I understand making the later stages is harder as you progress, but I feel like Dims went a little bit overboard with that. But to be fair, that is around the latter half of the game, and the first 4 zones are mostly smooth sailing, but then there's how Chaos Emeralds are handled. So remember when I said use Tails or Knuckles when you're going for all the Chaos Emeralds? Yeah, because you're gonna have a very awkward time getting them all with Sonic or Amy, because they're placed in pretty high places. To access the special stages, you need to go to a special ring. Unlike Sonic 2 or 3, the special springs are only tied to one act, so you can get 1 Chaos Emerald per zone, and special station itself, what the fuck happened here? I mean, they're not as bad as the Emerald Racing and Heroes or Orb stages in the Lost World 3DS, but my depth perception here is so trash. It looks like I'm on top of the rings, but I completely missed them. I don't blame Dims for this, it's more like the hardware wasn't powerful to handle this. I mean, I'll give the developers credit for trying something like that for the limited hardware, but this would have worked so much better in 2D. Anyway, once you get all the Chaos Emeralds you want, the Moon Zone where you get to fight Eggman in your Supersonic form, but what you have to go through just to get there, it's just not worth it in my opinion. But in the end, you gotta think about the little things, like how at the final level, for the boss rush, there's a recreation of the bosses from Sonic 1 and 2, and I thought that was a pretty good Easter egg, where how the ending without the Chaos Emeralds is pretty reminiscent of Sonic 2's ending without the Chaos Emeralds. Now before I go over to Advance 2, let's talk about the soundtrack. It's amazing, but this is Sonic the Hedgehog we're talking about, so of course it is. Anyway, the songs are great. My favorites are Secret Base Zone because I just love the aesthetic. I mean, more like the first part of Act 1 at least. Ice Mountain Zone because it just has that really relaxing tone to it. And even though how much I dislike Egg Rocket Zone, I can't deny that that's got a great beat to it. This game also has a Chow Garden, which isn't as in-depth as the one in Adventure 2, but you can still transfer your data to SA2's Chow Garden, so yeah. Overall, outside the Chaos Emeralds, Sonic Advance 1 is a fantastic game until the last half, and it does a pretty great job on recapturing the magic of the classic games, and also turn a lot of Nintendo fans and Sonic fans would be excited for his next game over 20 years later. And 1 year after this game, we got a sequel called Sonic Advance 2. So we have all the characters from the last game here, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, but this time we got a newcomer. Yeah, this was actually Kareem's first appearance, and a lot of people, myself included, thought that she was in Sonic Heroes first, but nope. This game beats out Heroes by a year. Now, for some reason when I was younger, I used to think that Kareem was a boy because she had a tie in her dress, don't ask. Anyway, this game was actually the reason why I originally wanted to do separate reviews for this trilogy. I mentioned this in my April Fool's video and when I streamed this game, but this is actually the first Sonic game that I ever played. I remember finding a Game Boy Advance lying around my house, or maybe I found it when me and my family were moving to another house. My dad decided to buy me a game for it called Sonic, and it was called Sonic Advance 2. I remember loving the game at first, but I never really played the other games until a couple months ago. But I thought that this game was amazing back then, and ever since, I wouldn't say that it made me a hardcore Sonic fan, but I probably would have met some of my online friends like Mikey or Cliff Turbo if this game didn't get me into the series in the first place. But let's see what I think of it today. So the story is as simple as Advance 1. You just need to stop Eggman. Cream joins in because her mother was kidnapped and she joins on an adventure to get her back. So anyway, everyone is here from the last game, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and this time Cream is basically a better Tails. She brings speed and can also fly. Well, she can't fly as long as Tails. I think she makes up for it with a child companion, Cheese. Cheese is an essential part of Cream. She can't do much with it during the regular gameplay, but Cheese absolutely decimates boss fights. To be fair, boss fights aren't that hard in Advance 2, they're auto-scrollers, but bosses that would get me a lot of trouble as Sonic or Knuckles is an absolute cakewalk with Cream. Speaking of characters, you don't have them all from the start, you have to play as Sonic and unlock them all as you progress through the game. Anyway, Sonic Advance 2 is more of the same as Advance 1, but this time they amped up the speed tremendously. If you keep on running, you'll go into a boost state where you go faster than usual, and this was the time before Boost to Win was introduced. You can also do tricks to either get extra height or keep the speed going. It's extremely rewarding to be able to keep the flow of this speed going. It's kind of like the classic games in a sense, but faster. All it is exhilarating. It kind of makes the levels feel a little bit samey. It's kind of like the daytime stages in Sonic Unleashed for me. You go so fast that you never see the difference between Leaf Forest and Ice Paradise. Advance 2 has some pretty short levels, so it shouldn't take you any longer than 3 minutes at the max, unless you're going for the Chaos Emeralds. Look, I love Advance 2, and to their credit, getting all the Chaos Emeralds in this game doesn't feel as awkward to get in Advance 1, but it's still completely counterintuitive to how the game wants you to play. There's 7 special rings in each level, and they're scattered throughout each level. While it isn't impossible to get them all in one level, I mean, I got this one by complete accident, but it's still a huge pace breaker trying to stop and find the rest of the special rings in each stage, just to get a try at the special stages. This is kind of like the Sun and Moon medals problem people had in Unleashed. Yeah, I know when I reviewed Unleashed, I said I took the time to look around for the Sun and Moon medals for that game, but in the 2D space, it's just kind of awkward for me, and it's impossible to backtrack to. Honestly, the special stages themselves aren't that hard. It's just getting to the special stages just the hardest part. I don't know how I was able to get all the Chaos Emeralds in this game when I was younger. Someday, I don't know when, but I'll try to get all the Chaos Emeralds in the Advance Trilogy in the stream someday. So like Advance 1, getting all the Chaos Emeralds unlocks you a final zone where you get to play as Super Sonic, and this cutscene where he transforms is just fantastic. But just getting to that point, it just isn't really worth it to me. Amy's here too, but the only way to unlock her is to get every Chaos Emerald with every character, so fuck that. Chaos Emeralds aside, Advance 2 is a great time from start to end. The sense of speed is exhilarating, the levels are great fun, and the music is pretty top notch. In fact, I think I like it more than Advance 1. Paradise is probably one of the best Isles level in the entire series, and I just listen to Music Park and got hot cratered all the time. Sadly, Advance 2 doesn't really improve on a bottomless pit and spikes and bad enemy placement bullshit from Advance 1. Actually, I think it might be worse here. But all that being said, I still love Advance 2. It's actually my favorite in the trilogy, and I'm not saying that just because of my bias of it being my first Sonic game. I actually had a lot of fun with it, and I still think it holds up today, and would recommend it to anyone who wants a fast 3D Sonic experience. But this video does say trilogy, so all we have left is Sonic Advance 3. Alright, so just a heads up, for some reason when I tried to record footage for Advance 3, OBS did not want to record it for some reason, so the footage you're seeing is going to be borrowed. Well, most of the footage is going to just be borrowed. Special thanks to Cliff Turbo for the footage you're going to be seeing in this video. So, anyway, yeah, let's continue. So now we get to the last game in the trilogy, Sonic Advance 3. This is what many consider to be the best in the trilogy. This game is a little bit more story-driven than Advance 1 and 2. Eggman has built a new robot named Emerald from the broken parts of Emerald from Sonic Battle, which this game's events carries on from that game. Anyway, Eggman uses Chaos Control for an experiment, but it goes AWire and tears the entire world apart, which separates our main characters. So now the gameplay. There is a little bit more platforming in this game than the last game. This game still brings the speed, but there's a new mechanic called the partner team-up system, where you get experience with characters to do cool strikes and other stuff. When you start, you can only play as Sonic and Tails, but as you progress, you can unlock the rest of the characters and play with them, and test out combinations with them. Alright guys, I'm gonna be honest here, Advance 3 might be my least favorite in the trilogy. I know that's gonna piss some people off, but that's just how I feel. So just so I don't come off as being too negative, I'm just gonna start off with the things that I like first. First, I like the concept of the tag team mechanic, and with a good combination, I think these stages can be a lot of fun. Like, I love the high jump when you get paired with Tails, and this jump is just fun to abuse with Tails and Knuckles. I also love the burst of speed you can get with Sonic. I think with a good combination, it can make the game pretty fun. Second, I think the hub world idea is pretty good too. While I don't really care for hub worlds in Sonic games, I personally saw them as a means to get to the next level, and I feel the same way here to some extent. But I actually kind of like the hub worlds here because 1, they don't take too long to navigate, and 2, you can do some bonus stuff to pass the time like these mini games to get bonus lives. I think hub worlds in 3D games are fine, but when it comes to 2D, I think stage to stage works better for this style. And finally, I think this game has the most production values put into it because these visuals are just amazing. This opening's just so smooth, I love it so much, and the levels, I love how they look too. And the result screens for when you defeat a boss, beautiful. Although that's where all my compliments have to come to an end. Let's start with my complaints, starting with the level design. Now, I think the level aesthetics looks amazing. The level design, on the other hand, has taken a hit though. Between the 3 games, I think Advance 3 has it the worst with the bottomless pits, spikes and turbo enemy placement, and it's been cranked up to 11 here. In the first 2 levels, it's not too bad. I mean, you get a hit a couple times to fall down a bottomless pit, but it's more like an annoyance than a problem. But by only base, the levels start getting longer. And by Twinkle Snow, the dickish enemy placement goes from a slight annoyance to fucking irritating, and the spikes get more abundant, and the less said about bottomless pits, the better. This is probably the only game in the trilogy that's actually made me rage quit, and Twinkle Snow, just fuck this level. There's so many awkward gotcha moments. Now these problems were around Advance 1 and 2, but that only came around during the end of the game. Here, there's just so many times where I just fell off the face of the earth and ran into so many random and questionable enemy placement to the point where it's just not fun. Then there are the controls. Personally, I don't think the controls in this game are as tight as they were in the last 2 games. 3 isn't as fast as 2, but you go from 0 to 100 in a second, and with there being more platforming than before, you're gonna slip off the edge of a cliff a lot of times. And guess how you have to get all the Chaos Emeralds this time? So I'm sure you know it's all the Chao in every level, right? Well, you have to get all 10 of them to get a chance to go to the special stages. While the special stages are better than before, you'd be better off playing the game casually. Collecting all the Chao and isn't as obnoxious like getting all the special rings in Advance 2, since you can still die and be able to get a chance to play the special stage instead of doing it all over again. It's still annoying since you can't really backtrack to get to the ones that you missed. To be honest, I was expecting to like Sonic Advance 3 the most because of its team-up mechanics. While I think that Sonic Advance 3 is a step up from Advance 1 and 2 in terms of production values and mechanics, it feels like a step down in terms of gameplay and level design from what Advance 1 and 2 gave us. The spikes and bottomless pit bullshit was turned out to extreme this time, and with pairs like Knuckles and Sonic, Knuckles can't glide for some reason, and you can only do this useless ass headbutt once you get him, and all you can do with Knuckles is just throw him around. And the controls just don't really feel as good in the last two games. It actually saddens me to say this, but Advance 3 doesn't really hold up as well as its predecessors, but that's not too much of a bad thing. I really like the partner team-up mechanics and some of the team-ups too. The graphics are honestly the best out of the trilogy, with some of the most colorful designs in 2D Sonic games since Sonic CD. Plus, this was the first 2D Sonic game to ever use voice acting, believe it or not. So technically, this was the last game to use Ryan Drummond as Sonic, Scott Drury as Knuckles, and Dean Bristow as Eggman, who unfortunately passed away shortly after this game released. I know a lot of you would disagree with me that Advance 1 or 2 are better, and that's okay. I won't give you shit for liking something that you honestly enjoy, and it's just not for me. If you used to like Sonic Advance 3 when you were younger, and if you still like it now, more power to you. And just to be fair, in preparation for this video, I went and asked a couple of people on Instagram and Twitter and Discord and what Advance game was their favorite, and the majority answered either Advance 2 or 3. And I was kind of surprised at how many said 2, to be honest. Well, I was fully expecting most of them to say 3, but hey, the fans have spoken. If I had to rank these games, I'd go like Sonic Advance 2, then Advance 1, followed by Advance 3. But honestly, I'd say the entire trilogy is worth a try. They're all pretty fun in their own ways, and people wouldn't like these games if they weren't good. Don't let my personal experience with Advance 3 turn you away from that game. Play the game and form your own opinion about it, because maybe you'll find something in it that I couldn't. Obviously, others who played this game do. My reviews are pretty subjective when it comes to share my opinions, and who knows, this game could be your favorite Sonic game ever made, or not. You can't really please everyone. And as for the next review, I'm sure you've noticed that I've reached 400 subscribers, and I have a very special review planned for that, but you're gonna have to wait to see what it is. With that all being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.